murderers in the air. So I got on the Bulletproof Montclair. So, what to say about the saga of what's happening, or what already happened in Houston and how it's playing out? Now, I have some unique experiences, so I don't know anything specific, nor am I trying to find anything out. I did text a friend of mine from Chicago just to see what he had to say, but even as I sent the text, I thought to myself, he ain't about to respond back. So I didn't text him again. And what would he really say? He don't know nothing, and if he did, he ain't gonna text it to me, and he ain't gonna tell it to me because I don't need to know, and nobody really does, and why would he know anything? I don't know what I was doing. Sometimes even I mildly fall victim to the temptations of easy money at the crack house, which is what social media has become. Of course, now the internet, I mean, just with every murdered person, murdered black male that's, a rapper. I mean, now this time, this was a real rapper. So what is it that may have happened? I'll let others play detective. Supposedly, the camera showed that cam guy, it is interesting that this Cam character, the internet is full of these stories that he's dead. But there's no police story that he's dead. There's no news story. Were these planted by somebody? Or am I using my imagination a little too much? So let's look at this issue from two sides. And let me first make my thesis statement of what the point of all this is. I've been making documentaries since before I started right when YouTube started, but this type of stuff wasn't on YouTube. So I was one of the first people. Troy Reed, I'm sure there's a few other people around the country. Donnie from Detroit. When I was interviewing people about street stuff like, Hitman and all that back in 08, 09, it was very tense and tricky and questionable. Like, is this going to be okay? What's going to be the outcome? Humans never cease to surprise. I wouldn't have thought that now, what has it been? So 12, 14 years. Oh, God, I've been doing this 14 years. And for several years before that, I was making music videos. Whatever happened down there, the Prince family is culpable in the sense, when you go somewhere, when you're somebody, you're under the protection of whoever you're with when it comes to moving around in the streets. If you choose to not hire, law enforcement to be your security, which, these guys would be wise to start doing, and I mean, unless you're a street person, and I hate this word street. I mean, unless you're a criminal, why would you want to seem like a criminal? Because you think it's fun? Because it's cool? Unfortunately, probably in the state of the rap industry as far as certain kind of music, I mean, if you're going to make music about, Migos made a lot of fun music, but there's a lot of gun and drug and murder references in their music. Well, that would undermine that perception of them that allows those songs to be exciting if they were with police all the time. Now, 50 Cent was smart. He was using police and different stuff, but that's what you're supposed to do. And that's how you stay alive. Now, Prince Jr.'s behavior is certainly strange, but I'll tell you from experience, when unexpected you know, wild things happen. You don't know how anyone will behave under intense scrutiny and pressure, and trying to read into them and say, oh, he behaved this way, thus it means he did this. That's fraught with the likelihood of being incorrect. But boy, there is a lot of circumstantial preponderance of building up of evidence that something odd is going on with the Mobb Ties movement. So I'm going to just say this. Like I said, I have some personal experiences in this sense. I was doing music videos. I was the man in Detroit, 04, 05, well, maybe probably 05, 06, 07, 08. I got to be in all the different neighborhoods. I did 100 music videos. And this is when people didn't have music videos. I mean, either you're a real artist who had a real music video, but as far as like a street music video where some, you know, paid $500, $1,000 and someone pulls up to your video, I was one of the very, I'm not going to say the first, but one of the earliest wave of people doing that. And I did it successfully. There's no stories on the internet of anyone doing anything negative to me. I got paid all my money. I don't have any animosity with anybody. I started with people that I knew who were somebody and was successfully did things with them. So as this industry of independent, making money off independent music, and then with me, these street stories grew. I was one of the people growing it. And, but in the beginning, I mean, you had to, it wasn't just random kids with a camera doing this stuff. I was in graduate school at the time, and I wanted to be a filmmaker, so I bought a camera, and my plan was, I'll get paid to go to film school. People can make me music videos. So then I grew into the documentaries. By 09, I was going to New York. I did my Streets of New York documentary. Went to the Soundview Projects back when, because of the sex, money, murder activities there was a sign up, enter at your own risk. When I got there, the courtyard was empty. One guy came out. Rest in peace to the Voice P.O. He said, "Are you Al Prophet?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Come on in. You can go anywhere you want, do anything you want in here." That's because a call was made by an older person from that neighborhood that I knew from Detroit, that we had our experiences together. So he, you know, me, that's my man. He saw fit to call and say, he good. And these are, you know, people that don't vouch for people unless they're willing to take on a responsibility. I never had any uncomfortable, I've been in different neighborhoods all around the country, infamous neighborhoods. I never had any problems. I had to develop a strong sense of intuition of who was my friend, who was my fake friend, who was my friend but who was weak early in life. Because I could never blend in with the scenery. Everyone always knew I was there. Now, for all the white people that think that if you're white in a black environment, you get attacked or harassed, you know, black people aren't really racist like that. But certainly all eyes, you know, would be on me, you know, until, oh, okay, and then he's fine, and people relax, or they see who you're with. So my sense of intuition of something's gonna happen and I shouldn't be here, this guy ain't really nobody over here, so I'm not, like, I've asked video directors in Detroit who came after me, did they ever have incidents of, like, you know, they shooting on the block and it's a problem? Yeah, some have been shootouts. They're all carrying guns now. I never had that experience. I mean, when I was doing it, it was like if you could afford a video and do it like you really were the guy in your neighborhood. People at the event, the bowling alley event, where the homicide occurred, say that nobody could have a weapon other than people associated with the Prince family, Prince Jr, his guys, which sounds like it makes sense. So if I'm with you and I can't have a gun, I'm under your protection. Ooh, now remember that jeweler, Duke, the guy from Chicago, he lost his life after what? A dice game. With who? Prince Jr in Houston. Yet another dice game. Why are these people shooting dice? Maybe it's because they're not really from the type of environment where you learn early. What did Little Kim say? Dice games kill more than cancer. I remember being about 19. I was going over my guy's house to get what I was getting. Some other young guys, you know, like maybe a little older than me, early 20s, were there at the same moment getting what they were getting, you know. And so we knew, and I was like, oh, what are you guys doing tonight? And then, oh, we're going to the after hours, shoot some dice. And I said, oh, maybe I'll go with you, hold on, and whatever. I ended up, they left or whatever, and I didn't go with them. See my guy, and he said, oh, I said, oh, where you met? Or no, he said, oh, you lucky you ain't go with them. You know that it was on the news, triple murder, that was them. They went to the gambling house, one of them got into it with the people, they locked the door and said, who's this guy with? Oh, these two? They laid them all three down. Boom, 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 boom. I could have been with them, just on the humbug. So, the Migos were definitely under the care of Prince Jr. Now, I doubt if this was orchestrated to do anything to them. What it seems like to me, and I have been introduced to some guys from Houston that maybe whatever at different times have been around those type of situations. If you're not hiring the police, who you got? You got some young guys with guns. Tough guys. Maybe street guys. Everyone's drinking liquor, smoking marijuana. Apparently, I think part of what's keeping this muddled is the Migo Band's guy. You know, it first came out that he was shot by two different guns, like he was in a crossfire. Did Quavo throw a punch? What were they arguing about? Why are people of this level arguing? Prince Jr.'s demeanor, the way he talks to people for years, the way he's been talking to people, is odd. I mean, it's like he's taking what his father's persona and turning it up a notch. Now remember, Prince, lest you think that what they're trying to do is a game or what they've been doing. Remember, him and Mayweather were business partners. He sent a bunch of people to surround Mayweather at his gym. I mean, this happened. NBA YoungBoy's house was burglarized, and Prince magically knew the guys that had his stuff. Now, NBA YoungBoy didn't want to participate, and Prince seemed to have made it, well, I don't know what went on behind the scenes. He said, I'm not his friend and I don't want to be his enemy. So, NBA YoungBoy stood his ground. Single most likely thing, when you become someone with some power and you got young males from chaotic environments with guns around you who are thinking that you know what you're doing, because I'm in these positions sometimes, but I take it seriously, and now I really try to avoid those situations, because the reality is, you know, these guys can be smart, but they chose not to join the army or not to be a police officer. They're not working a regular job. They're doing whatever they're doing. They don't like to be told what to do. That's the nature of who we are, that are not part of the 9-to-5 world, including me, we don't like to be told what to do. So it's very hard to manage those type of situations. You have to have a lot of life experience. Maybe J. Prince has been successful, Senior has been successful at doing it. My technique or strategy, I mean, I let people be who they are and try to make sure there's no volatility in the environment. Even having now, you know, I had a building out in San Bernardino that we shut down. Well, I left and more things happened there, and thankfully none of us got caught up, but there was things that happened, nothing to do with us. But I told my man, I felt like we're creating a safety hazard for children. And by children, I mean the young adults with no job and education that's hanging around up there. And it's like a playpen for them. Except ain't no supervisor, you know, they're grown, really. And you really can't tell them what to do unless you're going to be right there all the time and micromanage them. It seems like J. Prince Jr. had dangerous people around that he was not in total control of at all times. And it's really strange, though. See, that I could kind of get, that he just was in over his head. Because street guys are like, they by choice, their lifestyle choice is not to be controlled. And you guys, regular people on the internet, you're getting your cues from them prosecutors and the police who tend to describe everything like organized crime, and you sort of describe gangs like it's the street gangs like they the Gambino crime family. Well, they're not. It's not the same thing. 50-year-old Italian men who are part of a structured thing where you literally can't do something unless you ask somebody, and there's punishments and all that, and they're adults who've been living that life. It's not the same as desperate 21-year-olds going home to a public housing project who, if they don't play the game and entertain, you know, whoever is paying for the meals and buying the gold chains, you're going to get sent back to the projects or the bad neighborhood or sent back to nowhere because you may have nowhere to go. You know, that's a different beast entirely, and it's very tricky to control. Look what happened with Death Row Records. Suge Knight set in motion people that in the end he couldn't control. Because they're people that are uncontrollable, and, you know, people that's in and out of jail for killing and all that, they're not really controllable. I mean, unless you were really, you know, I mean, a master, frankly, well, you could use a negative word and say manipulator, or just you really understand people and you really have a firm handle. But the key is to not create risky situations. Those dice games, it's a bunch of people don't know each other. They're from different cities. Now, and it just seems like, and why were they there? I mean, the jeweler just got killed. Why would the Migos, you know, they clearly thought they were protected. And from what, and I'm not trying to solve nothing, I'm just repeating what other people so-called figured out. But something along the lines of there was an argument, some money was lost, and perhaps someone from J. Prince's camp wanted some more money and thought of someone as being a mark, followed him out, said one thing's too many, because Quavo said, I don't even play like that. Somebody threw a punch. Now, if the Migos side threw a punch first, though, and pulled a gun, what's the other guy supposed to do? We don't know what happened. We may never know exactly, because it happened just like that. But I will say, an unsafe environment, an environment that was not properly supervised, was created the so-called the shooter, as has been solved by the internet. Though when the internet solved the Young Dolph thing, it appears that, you know, all those were the people that got arrested. So where is this guy at now? In a lot of places in America, you have basically white people making the laws and as the police, and non-white people getting arrested. But in some places, like where I'm from, Detroit, there's a lot of black police. Texas has the largest amount of black population in the United States. I'm sure that the Houston Police Department has people, perhaps in the homicide division. Again, I'm just telling you how the world works. I have no special knowledge. That are friendly with the Prince family, not necessarily for nefarious reasons. The Prince family does give back to the community. I mean, not just book bag drives, millions of dollars. And I'm sure when you have that much money for that long and you're in the community, you do lots of favors for people that people don't know about. That's why Alpo could walk around, because all that really counts, really, is what somebody does with you. All this stuff about snitches and blah, 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 blah. If me and you were killing people together and I made $1 million and you get caught and you tell on everybody but me and you get out 20 years later, guess who loves you and who's your friend? Me, because you could have put me away too. But you left me out here with my $1 million. And personal relationships is what's count. Now, Prince Jr. is, I guess he did all this stuff today where he ostentatiously boarded his private jet and he's in Atlanta. Shouty, we're here. Is that disrespectful? Or, I mean, is he kind of letting, maybe he just doesn't have the seasoning to exactly know how to do things right. The world does not operate on, oh, it's Atlanta versus Houston. No, it's the people who are somebody interact with each other in all different cities. And they get money together, and you don't know who knows who in what kind of way. Certainly, if Prince Jr., if the Prince family wants to, they can't hide. They can't let even nobody's go on the internet and say you banned from Atlanta and they don't go to Atlanta. They got to. Maybe he could do it in a way that seems more respectful. The thing that's the strangest to me is the memorial at the homicide scene. The victim's name and picture is kind of small and real big blood red flowers, Houston Infinity, the Prince family. You know, Jazz Prince, who was the one that that discovered, I don't know if he discovered him, but who brought Drake into the music industry in a major way. That's not Prince Jr. That's a different person. Prince Jr. is the one who created Mobb Ties. You know, which I finessed 2 times, signed. Well, I like it a lot. Just my little bit of tiny dabbling around with using my good reputation as contacts to try to slightly do some little music stuff. I realized, you know, man, young guys from these from violent neighborhoods, you gotta really, if you're not going to commit to, you know, tightly like being with them and like really working through all the problems, all sorts of crazy things can happen at any time. It seems like, unfortunately, he was supposed to be there under their protection, and maybe some of their guys just did something inappropriate. The Migos reacted a certain way, and this happened. But I'll tell you, like, my friend Lucho, the champ, I took him to Detroit with me, if Lucho didn't come back from Detroit, something happened to him in Detroit, I wouldn't have came back to L.A. And that's how it should be. Just like if something happens to me, well, I got definitely people in Detroit, but I got friends in all kind of cities. I even got friends here in L.A. that's going to want to know, why was Al Prophet hurt or worse on your watch? Right? Did he do something to deserve that? Because I'm not known for getting into things. Oh, he just at a party and has an argument and someone shot him in the head. Oh, no. That's highly inappropriate. I've taken responsibility on several times of different visitors from Detroit. I say, oh, you want to wear your jewelry around? Here, let me be with my friends from L.A. that I made, that are my real friends that I trust. But if something funny happened, people going to come looking for me. So I'm very careful and limited with who I do that with. And those guys don't place a blind trust in me. I mean, they're still going to look out for themselves. But I've been doing things in different cities for a lot of years with a lot of people. I don't have a reputation for being in arguments and nonsense and beef and people getting hurt around me for no reason. So a person, you know, can trust in me to the extent that you can trust in something not chaotic to happen. But experience teaches you don't allow a chaotic situation with people you're not in control of. Jay Prince's attitude, Junior's attitude now is strange. Is it a flex? This one is interesting to me. And that's the only reason I'm talking about it. Different kinds of, well, just because everyone's wearing the same clothes and using the same slang don't make us all the same. The things that might put people in the categories of, oh, you people should be together and these people should be together and these people should mix, they're not a physical appearance. An outfit don't make you dangerous. A chain doesn't make you experienced. Only experience makes you experienced. Unfortunately, I've been around so much violence inside my household, first of all, as a child, and all through my life. Not to mention the violence outside my household. Very attuned to violence. And maybe someone who's grown up always protected by violence, and there's people now on the internet coming forth with stories, and I mean, this is being said for a while. Jay Prince, like Junior, likes to assault women. He certainly gets tough with people on Clubhouse. His father didn't reel him in. Does that mean his father doesn't care? His father seems like when he made the call out for the Mobb Ties thing with YB and Almighty J, getting his chain taken and his face cut, that, he was figuring out the whole social media thing. He seems to have effectively used it. I've met, different guys that sometimes are the security of some of these people in question. To me, they are who they are, but they're human beings. The guys that are the muscle, the security, they poor, they grew up poor. I don't know what they are now. That's not a high-paying job. I mean, they get paid. It's better, they get some money. I'm not saying they don't get no money, but sad what happened, but it seems like you got actual celebrities. You have the child of a great business mind in the music industry, who himself he's around that environment, so he may feel like he's of that environment, but he might not quite get just how chaotic things can go left. And the behavior now just they don't seem apologetic, but now, could that be because, remember, it was an argument. Quavo was talking. Maybe there was a growing sort of tension all through the night. And if he threw a punch first and the Migos bands pulled out and then the other guy pulled out and shot, maybe Prince's crew ain't even in the wrong. I know I have not given you an answer, but I'm not here to give answers. I don't get a check on Friday or on Tuesday or on Monday or sporadically to solve crimes. My goal in my work, and I'm trying to get back to the essence of what made me who I am, is to give you information, make you think, use your critical thinking skills. The pandemic, I really saw it. That's why I stayed low. I didn't hang out much. I saw a lot of people, they wasn't meant to have no money because they ain't had none yet. You 32, you hit a PPP lick, now you're trying to hang out with a chain and be around this, that, and the third. It's not meant for you. You're not seasoned to be around it. That's why a lot of weird things was happening. I stayed away. I liked LA when it was, hey, whatever you may be, an entertainer, a gangster, or this or that, you've achieved at a certain level so we can all be around each other because we're here to, whatever, party, do business, relax. But when you got a mixture of people with different agendas, different control mechanisms, and there's no one that has, I mean, it's not about the power. It's they don't realize these guys, some of these guys with a gun can just suddenly go off and something can happen. Like, you know, I've been in many places, many of the most infamous neighborhoods, and this is before it was okay to do this stuff, and I never had a problem, but I'm from a very dangerous neighborhood, and I know now that I'm somebody, it's cool. Oh, Al Prophet's here. Hey, we like what you do. Crack a few jokes, drop a little wisdom, sprinkle a few street tithes, commiserate, comradeship. Thank you, I appreciate it, what you guys up to, and I'm out. You can't be hanging around where the poor people are at, or mixing different income groups for no good reason for long periods of time. And again, they go back to, why are these guys shooting dice? Dice outside of a casino, always dangerous. And I mean, it's just odd to me. I mean, I used to kill them side betting because people don't even know the odds. They so busy. Back dog, 10-4, Little Joe. They don't even know the odds ain't right. So I used to make money, but I would get my little money and leave and not talk too much. Dice game been a death trap. Why they keep having dice games? Someone just got killed, the Duke the Jeweler guy. Watch yourself. Be attuned to who's your friend, who's sort of your friend, and if you're, I want you to really ask yourself, like, have you been around all kinds of violence and street activities over the course of many, many years? In every facet, you've done the violence, you've been the victim, you've seen it, you know about it. You've seen it go this way, you've seen it go that way. If you don't know it like the back of your hand, stay away from it, because it gets chaotic. And everybody want to be in the street till the guns go off and the cuffs come out. So we'll see what happens. This is very strange, though. Truth is stranger than fiction. These details, that Prince family memorial thing is just weird. Maybe it's just inappropriate and someone doesn't know what to do. Jay Prince, if he went to Atlanta, like, hey, sorry, apologize for this happening on my watch. I just want you to know we got love for Atlanta. I'm here with my Atlanta guys. They know I didn't have nothing to do with it. But from what I saw on social media, it's like he's going there flaunting. And I'm sure he got strength in Atlanta. It's not a city versus city thing. Never think that. Vibe tricked you into thinking there was an East Coast, West Coast war. And that trickled down in federal prisons. There was problems between East Coast and West Coast guys. Well, really, it was about what happened that night at a club in Atlanta between Wolf and Jake Robles. And there was a lot of dangerous street guys at that club that night. Haitian Jack was around. And I know some guys from Detroit that were there. It just so happened that happened between them. And, in the entertainment industry, and this predates African Americans, black people, rappers being at the center of the entertainment industry, the music industry, movies, as we know. I don't want to say that everybody that founded it were criminals and gangsters, because they weren't, but there's been a significant component of it from day one. So think about if you're somebody that watches this that's in this circuit. You may find yourself at these events, like when they had BET awards here in LA. I hid because I didn't want my apartment being ground zero for Detroit street activities. I already had to be careful who I let be around each other, lest I'm caught up in a RICO of something that I had no idea was going on. I'm not saying nothing ever goes on. I'm just saying theoretically. Like the pimps show up at these events and they sending girls out with knockout drops and stealing jewelry. Like, that stuff happens to people. Not me, because when the regular people come out to party, I stay inside because I might be doing something wild on a Tuesday night, but on New Year's, I keep it wholesome. So maybe because this guy's so big, this will be the one that calms people down. It's been RICO season. It's going to continue to be RICO season. They're not going to just let anything go on for too long. And unlike remember it took a while back in the 70s and 80s to get the streets under control because they had to build up federal law enforcement, but it's already built up now. It's just a matter of them turning their attention to things. And with cameras everywhere and social media, it's not hard to solve these crimes. I don't necessarily think the Prince family's subject to some RICO investigation. And in fact, Jay Prince Jr. has clearly not been in for questioning. And why would he? I mean, technically, he just was somebody there at the party. A bunch of people were standing around and walked away. Police going to have to find that guy on their own. And who knows what went on behind the scenes. All these bloggers, they're just trying to make easy money. Like, this is the last few years on social media been the 1986 of crack. It's easy, everybody getting, the 1984, everybody getting money. But now we're getting into summer 88, and it's the killing season. It's too many people. The money's tightening up. Be careful. I didn't really, probably for some of you, say what you wanted to hear. I'm not here to solve anything. I'm more here to share my personal experiences, teach a lesson. Be around who you organically should be around, and you'll be okay. And I just will say, though, that when people of a caliber go somewhere, you know, I've been under other people's protection, and people have been in my care. And I take that seriously, and I'm very careful about who I go let myself be up under. So, rest in peace to all the guys that lost their lives. But you know, I mean, when you participate in those environments, these are the things that happens. I'll profit American dope.